All right, good morning. So my name is Brian Bellinger. I'm with Ascender. And I'm going to tell you how to get a basic Instant Data Center up and running right on your laptop or desktop. So the idea here is that you can do your entire Puppet enterprise architecture right from home or right from wherever. You're not going to be in your data center walking around. You'll be able to test out your Puppet enterprise architecture, which can get fairly complex once you get into it. So that, go forward. Why developing your data center is a bad idea. So I'm glad some people see this already. Virtual machines and nodes tend to be expensive, particularly where we're doing our work right now in the government sector. There tends to be a lot of overhead. Not necessarily all organizations have this problem, but starting a virtual machine in our data center tends to be very, very long. It tends to be literally like a week process sometimes. They're trying to change that. But even when we get it done, there's a lot of administration, infrastructure prohibitively expensive at times. And why do that when we can do things right on our own machine? You're going to break your nodes. You're going to break them all the time, particularly when you're learning this. As you get a little more experience, you'll learn how to tweak things, how to be a little more careful, how to put guardrails in your code. But in the beginning, you're going to break things all the time. And the last, and unfortunately we have done this before, you can break your Puppet Master, our production Puppet Master. There's ways of protecting yourself from that, but it's not perfect, and you can introduce changes that will break things. So, do it all in your local box. Easy way to test and run your Puppet architecture. No overhead, besides your own time, in maintaining your development nodes. Be able to tear down and rebuild nodes quickly and easily. And if you break your Puppet Master, it doesn't matter, because you're going to be able to bring it right back to life fairly quickly. So, go ahead and save yourself for the. Anyways, these are the basic blocks for starting your own data center. You're going to need sysadmin on your laptop, so some that may be an issue, but Git, Ruby, VirtualBox, and Vagrant. Is everybody familiar with these tools? All right, good. Git's going to be used heavily. One of the components, I haven't heard it yet, of Puppet is infrastructure as code. The way we look at it is everything we do in Puppet is code. My code background is actually coding. I actually got kind of pulled into this from the infrastructure side because we needed to find a solution. But what we do is I treat it as basically an application or a project. We have a software delivery lifecycle. Everything is everything is stored in source control. And in theory, what we're trying to get to, and we made some pretty good strides to, is my computer, if I was to go throw it in the lake somewhere, someone was going to go ahead and give me another computer, I'd be able to get my data center, even my pretend one, but also to some extent my real one, up in a matter of about 10 to 15 minutes, almost to the point where I was at. Everything is stored, at least for us, in source control. Ruby, unfortunately I don't have a huge background in Ruby, but almost everything Puppet, at least the current Puppet, is done in Ruby. You're going to have a lot of tools called gems. We'll talk about one of them coming up. VirtualBox, that is where your VMs are all run. A lot of people, we're starting to look at using VMware a little bit more, but VirtualBox has been pretty good for us. In the beginning, it's really all you need. And of course, Vagrant is a wrapper. We look at it as a wrapper around VirtualBox. It has all the configuration for your VMs. And what we're going to talk about next heavily leverages Vagrant to move forward. So other requirements, this is obviously very texty. I won't spend a lot of time here. And everything we're doing here, we have a GIT project, what we talked about at the end, where we'll have all the same information reiterated for you. You'll be able to go ahead and use it. Vagrant Oscar, that's the big thing. It was written by, I believe, a Puppet Labs engineer called Oscar. BB Guest, librarian puppet, very important. It goes back to, sorry, I'm trying to say it wrong. Idempotent, sorry. I always screw it up. Code. Well, what it's going to allow you to do is, it's going to make sure that the modules you install in your puppet environment are installed the same way every single time. I kind of think of it as that same principle applied at a little more abstract level. Other two, I'll skip. And of course, there's a Puppet Gym. You need Puppet. Works very well. There are some issues when you're going to start using. You're going to be using Windows to do this work. Windows doesn't like the Puppet Gem, but everything else does it pretty well. And there's a workaround for the Puppet Gem, which we'll describe in the project. Other considerations, unfortunately, these are not really workarounds. These are kind of a minimal set of requirements to really do this work. You're going to need i5 or better processor. We have people right now that have i3s. You can get one VM up, but it's extremely slow. It will unfortunately do the job for you. So i5 or better. You really need a minimum of 8 gigabytes. You can basically start Puppet Master at 4 gigs, but you're pretty much done at that point. Puppet Master, in our experience, once you really become a good developer, requires about 4 gigabytes, and ideally 4 threads. You can get away with 2 pretty well, but you need at least 8 gigs to get your Puppet Master and your virtual machine. We recommend 16 gigs or better if possible. Yeah, just as a side, so we found 16 gig would kind of be the sweet spot. You can put more memory after that, and that's great if that's your machine, but we've also seen that, at least on your typical laptop or your desktop, once you start getting past 4 to 5 VMs, you're pretty much done, regardless of how much memory you have. So 16 gigs, i5 or better, at least 4 threads of execution would be good. And here we go. Using the Oscar plugin. There's 4 building blocks for Oscar. Boxes, we're going to go into detail on all of these, explains a little bit more. The boxes that YAML, hash of boxes and the location. So everybody know what YAML is? Probably should stop. I know there's a lot of new people here. Okay. So YAML stands for Yet Another Markup Language, and it's exactly what it is. It's a competitor. I think of it as a competitor to JSON, but it's a simple text-based markup language that's replacing like the bulky languages of XML now. Puppet relies very heavily on YAML. So we're going to go into this a little bit. Boxes is a hash of boxes in their location. PE build YAML specifies location and version of the Puppet Enterprise software. Roles.yaml is your virtual machine configuration details, and VMS.yaml ties boxes and configurations together. I call this kind of the glue.
I'm assuming by boxes you mean vagrant boxes.
They're all vagrant boxes, yes. Yep. Here's an example of the boxes.yaml file. And sorry about the color, it looks good on my monitor, but it didn't translate well here. So this is a hash in YAML. And boxes is literally a list of boxes in this case, so we pointed out it's all vagrant boxes. It's really a key value pair. The first key is the name of the box. You can call it whatever you want. We call it FS, that's the organization we're working with right now. CentOS, our OS, the version number, the architecture, and the fact that it's a virtual box. Very straightforward. After that you have the location. I've always seen it as HTTP location. We're running off a web server right now. Obviously, as you begin to build your own box in your organization, you'll shift over. But right now, you can use these boxes. Vagrant actually has a few Puppet boxes. That's kind of so. There's one caveat: you have to have Puppet on it in order to use it easily. And if you go to the Vagrant website, there's several boxes that come right out with Puppet installed on them. This is probably the simplest one. PE Build YAML. Has the version number. We use 3.3.2. I was hoping actually to come here with the new 3.7. Unfortunately, it's just not ready yet. And of course, this download has never changed. It's we can get download Puppet from and get all the different versions. The nice thing about this, though, and this has become very important for us, both for our project and this particular file. Throughout the past year, there have been a lot of bug fixes in Puppet Enterprise, as well as changes that we wanted to adopt. Being able to bring up our data center up and down by just switching this version number made it very easy for us to adopt the new changes. Here is one part of the role site YAML. This is your biggest configuration file. I've simplified this a little bit. I'm going to see if I can. This is. Anyways, I also have to talk to some of this. It's very, very dark. Roles.yaml configures nodes. So every role. This is all your roles is once again a hash of list value pairs. PE Puppet Master, this is your main one. Everybody's going to need that one. I want to go over each of these. I think most of them are fairly self-explanatory, but obviously if you have questions, go ahead and stop me. Anyways, one of the things we do is customize. We set up, in our case, 4 gigabytes of memory and 4 threads of execution. You notice the CPUs. That's what it means in the Vagrant world. If we have time, I'll talk to this a little bit. We basically use auto network. You will need that for your auto data center. Your data center nodes have to talk to each other automatically. You don't want to go in there and configure your Etsy host file. In our case, 4 reports, and we'll be demonstrating this. This basically takes your machine you're running on. In this case, it's my laptop. If I hit my laptop at port 8443, it talks to 443, which is what Puppet Enterprise Console runs on, port 443. And yeah, I'm really sorry about this. So we basically run a single Puppet command, and I'll be able to go ahead and show you this after this. And something that's a little cleaner. Basically, what we do is we start a Puppet. It hits the site PP, which is generally, and I've always seen this example, that's your master manifest, and it actually happens to be our only manifest. We, not counting the modules, we only run one manifest in our master that controls it all. And you run, just like here, there's shell commands. This particular command is the shell script, and what it's going to go ahead and do is kick the Puppet agent, so the Puppet master will install everything that's needed for Puppet. Probably the simplest one. This glues boxes together. Simply the name of your role, the box from the boxes at YAML, and the name can be anything you want, and the role name. So PE Puppet Master installs the Puppet Master software on Master. In this case, it installs it on a CentOS OS. A nice thing about the setup, once again, is you can do a lot of mixing and matching. Lots of times we take out the CentOS box, we put Ubuntu, it doesn't matter. Oscar takes care of it for you. You have to shut down your data center, rebuild it, but you'll have a Ubuntu. You can pretty much use any Linux flavor except Windows. These are things we bring up generically, CentOS, and we haven't even a Windows box where you can do, we haven't done much with Windows, but you can bring up the Windows box and install Puppet on it and do some things, particularly the registry and IIS. So this is the quick start. If you go in here, you do these 7 steps, you will have a data center running on your laptop. Do the installations. clone from this, well, we have a project, I call it the skeleton project. We do have a clone you can use, bring down your Puppet data center, go into your project, run librarian, Puppet install. What's that? Yeah, you could, or at least dimmer. Yep. Even better. Thank you very much. Librarian Puppet install. This will install your base modules. You're going to need a few modules for your Puppet Master to get up and running. Vagrant up master. That's one of the standard Vagrant commands. It says start the master. Once you've done that, it'll start the master, install it, and kick the agent. Then you can start up any box. In this case, we're showing CentOS 0, but you can put any pretty much OS you want there. And log into your console. Localhost 8443. User is admin at puppetlabs.com, and I don't know what the password is not showing. But I'll make sure I'll go ahead and fix that on the demo goes up. The password is Puppet Labs. Standard password. This is really just a reiteration of what happens. Oscar downloads Puppet. Oscar installs the Puppet Master using an answer file. The default site PP is applied to the master, and when the agent is installed, basically just brings up the OS. It actually contacts the Puppet Master. The Puppet Master will tell the agent, these are all the packages you need to install in order to get running. And under most circumstances, it will do an auto sign, which means you're good to come in. You don't have to go into your Puppet Master console and sign off that this agent is good. So let me see where. Where's that look? So anybody have time? 10:45?
25.
Oh, 25. Okay, I was like, wow, things happening. All right. This I can actually go into detail if we can, so we have time. This is the site PP that the master runs, and you'll be able to take a look at this. I don't have the code up here, but we can take a look at it if we have time. When the Puppet Master runs, it has to put some base things down so it can prepare. We use R10K. It goes ahead and installs R10K. It exports the hosts, it installs Hyra. We also use Hyra for our configuration, and then it kicks the Puppet Master. And I do have a little demo, but I want to stop here to see if anybody has any questions. Yes, please.
What do you mean when you say it kicks the Puppet Master?
So, your Puppet Master, as well as every agent, has what's called a Puppet agent going. So basically when we say kick it, we're basically saying run the Puppet agent. So the Puppet agent does, what you just observed earlier, takes the facts, sends the Puppet Master says this is where you should be, and the Puppet agent configures it. So we kick around our agents a lot. When you're developing, you're going to be kicking it all the time. That's what I mean. Kick the agent basically says, run the agent on whatever node, and including the Puppet Master. Puppet Master agent gets run a lot. Any other questions?
Have you tried to run this in a cloud environment at all?
No, we have moved into our data center, but we haven't moved to try to an Amazon or another cloud provider like that. So, no, I can't speak to that.
Can you go back a couple slides for me?
Yes.
This list of modules and tools that you're showing us, you said you're going to have somewhere that's shared, like that's supposed to copy down this list.
Yeah, easiest way to do it. Yeah, we'll go ahead and send it out, but if you go to the GitHub project right here, this URL, and I'll make a bigger version of it for the PDF. But if you go to that, there's a large README file, which will go into much more detail in this presentation on all the steps you need to do the setup.
But all these tools like Oscar and all that stuff you referenced in the README on that project?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yep. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring up a puppet agent, in this case a Centos. I'm not going to bring up the Puppet Master because it does take about 10-15 minutes. Not that anybody wants to see that run by. So, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my master. And I do have one note running. So the local hole is port 8443. And that is not what's supposed to happen. It's the terror of the demo.
Are you missing your HTTPS?
Should be, let's give it a shot just in case. Good call.
My Mac is getting me with that one.
What did you say the default password was? Puppet Lab?
Puppet Labs, yep. We have our VM and our master. So I want to go ahead and create a new node. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. It's Vagrant, the name of your box. In this case, it's CentOS 1. It'll just be a companion to my CentOS 0 box.
Can you make the font any larger?
I probably can.
Apple Plus?
What's that?
Apple Plus?
No,
No, the Apple key plus.
Yeah, yes.
Apple key.
Command key.
Command plus.
Man. No, we're gonna call the Apple key. All right. All right, I'm not gonna worry about it. This is what I mean by kick the puppet, basic pseudo puppet agent dash T. T stands for test, but all right. So what I was going to do is bring up the CentOS 1, and I'll show you attach it right to the master. But, all right. Well, I've given you everything you need to do to set up a, what we call it, the instant data center. And I guess I'm going to stop there and see if there's any final questions, and then I'll hand it off.
If you got a question, here, I'll hand you the mic, so before you can hear.
You know it's possible to use the open source Puppet with the Oscar plugin?
I don't know. We don't know. We've always gone straight from the enterprise. So, yeah. And then what I do know is the Oscar was built to basically install and run Puppet Enterprise. So there may be a way to do it with open source, but we have not explored that at all.
Thanks.
Good.
I'm familiar with Vagrant, but I know the guys who came with me or not. Can you give your explanation?
Say it in the mic.
I know what Vagrant is, but the guys that came with me have never used it, and I have a hard time explaining it to other people. Can you elaborate on what Vagrant is? You're using Vagrant, but you haven't really explained what it is.
Okay. The way I see Vagrant as almost like, I use the word, but an abstraction of the virtual machine. So if we were to go back to, I think I can do this. VirtualBox. You can do a lot of things with VirtualBox, but it requires a lot of low-level coding. You have to be really, I'd say, in tune with the system manual world. You have to know how to create images. You have to know how to go into VirtualBox, learn all the settings, learn all the tools, go ahead and tweak it, I guess, to make sure your virtual machine is up and working properly inside VirtualBox. What Vagrant does is it tries to simplify this for you. So what you can do in Vagrant is you can give it a bunch of high-level commands. Say, map this guest port to this host port. Make sure that this virtual machine is installed with this amount of memory, with these amount of CPUs. Give it a host name, for example. You can do all these things right here in VirtualBox, but it's fairly technical and it's fairly difficult. Vagrant basically puts everything into a nice configuration file that's easy to read, as far as I'm concerned, and easy to understand. It wraps itself around VirtualBox, so I call it a friendly, user-friendly interface, text-based interface to VirtualBox. Does that make sense to you? Or?
First of all, thank you. You mentioned earlier that under the requirements there was a CentOS 7 fix for Vagrant.
Yes.
Do you have to know any of the details about it, or is it just a package to install?
For us, it was a package to install. We need a CentOS 7 up and running. Somebody provided a solution for us, so we went ahead and grabbed it, but we did not look into, what was broken and why does this make it work.
It's a network device. Thank you.
So real quick, would you categorize Vagrant to VirtualBox as OVF tool is to VMware kind of?
I'm actually not familiar with the Adobe F tool. See if I can find a good analogy.
Is it tied, I guess my question is it VirtualBox specific?
No, it's not.
Works with any other virtualization software as well?
It works, two that I'm familiar with, and I think there's actually other providers out there. Vagrant will work with VMware.
Okay.
You gotta pay for it.
Yeah, the VMware side, you do have to pay for it, yeah. We use VMware Fusion when we do VM. It's not a game killer. I think it's like it's $80, but you do need to pay for it. Vagrant has what's called a Docker provider now too, so they're trying to move into that world, but it is not VirtualBox specific.
Out of the box, they have integration with AWS also.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else?
Oh, we got
This way?
some right here.
Thanks.
Can you give us a little more detail on this approach and how you think it has saved your data center or kept your data center up like as far as like speed up or just benefits from doing this? How will you think this helped out your team?
There's several reasons. Some of it may not be applicable to all organizations. The organization we're at right now is a government organization. It's very locked down. So, okay, so for starters, there's I call it very long bureaucratic to get any kind of resources in the house. So, to tear up or bring down a virtual machine can take days. The alternative that we have had to explore is getting like 5 to 10 so that if we break a few, we can just turn them off, right? But the problem there is it's also very expensive. The third thing about it is it's allowed us to begin development outside as well as collaborate outside. It has to do with, I guess, all the protections they've put in place. So we can't put anything that's related to the organization in the cloud, but we were able to collaborate using basically GitHub and Bitbucket, right? We were we're able to make changes. Our Puppet Master has a lot of configuration, it's particularly with all your version changes. So you used to have something called module path, right? And we want to go in and say, oh, module path is deprecated and they're doing it this way now. We were able to, rather than create this big elaborate test to make sure Puppet Master wouldn't break, we do it on our laptop. We bring Puppet Master up, we try a few things, break it a few times, it's fixed. So, and basically, I'm just trying to think, I'd say that's probably the main characteristics. So, able to collaborate in the cloud, able to bring virtual machines up and down, putting stress on the organization, and being able to test your architecture out. Not just Puppet Master, the other thing, which I kind of avoided, because I think I know someone's going to talk to her, it's a advanced topic, but our exported resources, which are great tools, but they're also, I think right now, kind of fragile. So you want to use them, but you don't want to put them into your environment because these exported resources can populate your entire data center and screw things up. So that's how it saved us.
I was just wondering if you use anything like Packer to create your box files.
So we call what?
Packer, with the HashiCorp.
No, I'm not familiar with Packer.
How do you build your VirtualBox images?
That's not what I do. A partner of mine, I talked to him recently, he comes with sysadmin, but what we take is basically base boxes that Vagrant provides, so they'll have the Ubuntu and the CentOS base box. He takes them, he adds the new virtual hosts onto them, make sure the Puppet is up to date. There might be, that Packer might be quite a benefit. I'm just not familiar with it, but we have basically done it by hand up to this point.
Any questions? Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much. Huge round of applause for Brian.